James Melendez, thank you for joining me today. This is a review of the Performance Wine Glass by Riedel. Stay tuned to give you my thoughts, perspectives, and point score on this wine glass. Now be sure to subscribe to this channel and please give a like. Now, in my review of this wine glass, I was looking at this in terms of what I first saw on a retailer's website. Here's some pictures of what I saw. And my impressions on that picture were that these striations you're going to see here, I'll bring this a little closer so you can see the details of that. It's pretty unique. I haven't seen a wine glass like that in terms of a higher end, I think a little more high performance wine glass, really showing those details. And I thought it'd be a little more significant, which I was really curious if that were the case. How would the wine taste from that? So I did some comparison between other wine glasses, the wine wings, in addition to that, another wine glass. Now, to me, it's all about, optimizing performance in terms of the palate experience. And so I was really trying this out for that experience. And ultimately, I found some really unique things about it. There's one thing compared to, say, wine wings, which I have right here. That's a very big format, right? Now, this is going to be the Cabernet Sauvignon Silhouette, which I often, would serve a Pinot Noir in this, and it's just fine. What I don't like about this glass is it sloshes a lot. You can probably hear that. This does not slosh, and that's a good thing. Now, the performance and delivery on that is also dependent on something that's not a Riedel product. So I have another wine glass here. And so the wine surface areas are really going to be the same in terms of, at least, so the pour is the same, wine surface areas are going to be different. So this is really about probably this glass here, the control glass, as well as the performance glass are about the same. This glass might be slightly larger, but not so much. There's no bowl to this. And that's kind of a modern trend, I guess, we are in with wine glass design. It's actually not that new of a design when you think about it. If you look in, say, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you did see a lot of designs going in that way. And they pulled back from that, going back to the bowl shape. This has a much more of a square profile with this unique, I would say, this shape here that goes a little bit outward and back in again. So what matters to us humans is the way we smell, because that affects our experience, our palate experience, right? And so each of these are going to be slightly different. I did taste a white wine. This is a red wine. This is a Central Coast California Syrah. And no, I didn't do a Pinot Noir, which I will try eventually on all these glasses. But for the point of this review, I want to compare and contrast against one that was not a Riedel brand and another brand, another silhouette from the Riedel house, which is the wine wings glass, which I did see in a recent trip in Italy, which I saw it at a Guide Michelin one-star restaurant. So this is out there and people are using it. Not a fan of it in many ways, but the point score that I gave and the review is actually going to be right up here if you want to see that review. And I believe there's not an optimized wine glass that exists today, even at very high price points. One thing I do like is a hand-blown wine glass. They do perform slightly differently. I love the lightness to them. These are machine made, and there's a bit of heavy quality to these wine glasses. Now, when these are empty, this is a really, I would say, probably the heaviest of the wine glasses. This is the second most heaviest. Perhaps this is actually the first most heaviest. This is the middle between these two wine glasses here. So it's not light, it's not heavy either. It has a nice footing to the design. I do think it's important to have a bowl shape where these two do not. And so that's the characterization here. But the red glass, red wine here, is a different experience altogether. I'll go through each of these in terms of what they bring out. So I'm going to do the wine tasting, give you some notes directly from that experience. So on the nose of this wine, it's rich red and black fruit notation, freshly ground spices, purple flowers, and suede. Next is the palate characterization. Boysenberry, clove, pepper, and rose petal notes. So when I think of rose petal, I'm thinking of two things going on at one time, which is rose is expressive, obviously, of red floral, but also pepper notation. Here we go on this glass. This is a wine wings glass. It's sloshy. I don't like that at all, and I've commented in my reviews where that is kind of a bothersome, persistent experience of this wine glass. Has one of the largest surface areas because it's a very wide glass. One thing compared to this glass here, this is easy to pick up and it doesn't depend on the angle you're coming from. You're not going to slightly tip it over. This one, it kind of has that experience where I've noticed where I'm trying to pick this up. It depends on the angle, where I'm sitting, the table, or seat where I'm sitting from, and this definitely has that experience of nearing an ability to knock this over. It's not going to knock over necessarily because the footing is nice and pronounced. Both of these are about the same, which is awesome compared to this very diminutive. You can see it here in the screen. Very, very, very small here, diminutive, not interesting. I don't like that glass design at all. Red floral notation, more violet-y I would say than say rose petal notes, a bit of pepper, shaved wood, and spices. Next, the palette characterization. Red and black bramble notes and black pepper notes, and so that does differ compared to this experience here from the same wine itself, same year, same vintage, everything equal. So this has a much more abbreviated nose. The fruit is still there, right? You're getting black and red bramble notes, red spice notes, and evergreen forest. Next is the palette characterization. This glass, a control glass, is highly peppery, spicy notation, a little less red floral notation, and red fruit minus black fruit notes. So each of these perform differently, as I would suspect, because the nose is really highly important here. It's going to express how these wine glasses perform. And so for me, I've already talked about this glass in a previous video. I'll move that away. I talked about wine wings, and I'll show you actually those reviews right up here. This will go away at this point, and this glass is left to talk about in terms of would I buy this again? What is a point score? Overall design. And I would say that there are things about it. I like the height of it, top to bottom. The footing is, I think, superb. It is a construction where I can tell that this is going to break probably in the next 6 months, unfortunately. That's based on me, not necessarily the wine glass. And I also think on this glass, the surface area is not as large as I would expect or would hope for. And so even at the same pour rate as the previous two other silhouettes, this particular striation, I think it's kind of alluring and nice. It might be something I get tired of, and something that I'm not really intrigued with so much that I would buy and clear out my entire glass collection, or that I would acquire more silhouettes or more wine glasses, period. I think this might be it. And so when I think about that, I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not underwhelmed either. And so when I think of design, maybe these striations could be a little more pronounced and a little more intriguing to differentiate this between another wine glass. When I first opened this up, I thought, you know, the packaging was so well done, and I would give accolades to Riedel for doing this, because from the retailer I purchased from, they don't always package that well. So it's up to the manufacturer, that is the brand Riedel, to really package these well enough so that it survives the journey. This one does. Its 7 silhouettes are listed here, and I do believe that you know, wine glasses, you can have a silhouette which is serving many other wine varieties. A lot of people, especially in city dwellings, don't have room for 1 or 2 silhouettes. And so I definitely have a white, red, and a sparkling wine glass silhouette. And I feel, you know, fine with that. I think it's okay to have. The other experience though is having wine glasses that I think are really poorly made. Not to say these two others are poorly made. They, you know, have their own reviews. I've talked about them separately. I think when you have machine-made, low price, low quality, small bowl, even the material is not that distinguishing, there is an effect on the experience. I did a tasting of, say, Amarone wines, and it was a very inexpensive silhouette. I think these glasses perhaps cost the event producer $1 per glass, if that. The net effect on that was every single Amarone tastes like every other Amarone, which is really, really disappointing, because that's not how Amarone really tastes. If it were differentiated in a glass like this, it might really bring out the true characteristics of that wine itself, or all those wines that I was tasting. So all in all, this is not a glass I'd buy again. I think it's a nice design. It's a bit conservative in some ways, and it's not entirely distinctive compared to other silhouettes from Riedel. So its function is there, its form is there, its quality is definitely there. The price point is relatively high. It's $65 for 2. And so I do think you need to spend a little more for a wine glass than, say, $10 to $20. I think north of there is really probably the entry point, $25 to $30 per stem. But I think this is just an okay glass. I'm not going to, give it negative marks or really low marks. That the Wine Wings is actually probably one of the lowest rated wine glasses from Riedel I've ever tasted, which is a 90-point wine glass. Now this is a 92-point wine glass out of 100 points. So some might term this an A-, which may not be a bad thing, but I do have a logarithmic scale, so getting 93, 94, 95, and so forth is actually more difficult than the previous scoring on that increment ledge, if you will. You have to decide if this is a silhouette for you. I do try out a lot of wine glasses to see how they express the wine itself and how I'm going to like them. And so I think this is an okay wine glass. Probably won't buy again, but I have many more wine glasses to review with you. So let's have a conversation. You'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Please give a like, subscribe to this channel. So be sure to share this video with somebody who is passionate and in love with wine glasses, or perhaps who is not and is seeking a better wine silhouette glass than they have today. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video review of either a wine glass or wine itself. Stay tuned. Santé.